Thank you for joining us for our ACCM 2025 Activate Lawmakers Toolkit webinar. Special thank you to our whole team that has worked on this, and let's dive into this. We're going to do a few minutes of an introduction kind of moment, and then our team is going to dive into this toolkit. So we can go ahead to that next slide, or excuse me, we're already there. Go ahead, back one slide.
All right.
All right, no worries, you're good. So we are, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, and feel free to share your indigenous land that you currently reside on or are on right now. And then just a note that this event is being recorded, and the recordings and the slides, resources will all be shared with you after this webinar. So you don't have to worry about recording it. All of the links that we share in the chat, along with the links that are linked out in the slide deck, will also be in there. And let me backtrack and introduce myself also. So my name is Nefeshi Israel. I'm the Director of Programs here for CA for the Arts. And I am on Yokuts land here in the Central Valley, right outside of Fresno, in the more rural area of Madera. You can go ahead to that next slide there. Thank you. All right, a few guidelines for the webinar. Questions are welcome at all times. This is a webinar, so please use the Q&A function. You'll see that at the bottom of your screen. Probably next to your share button, you'll see a Q&A, and it's a little question mark inside of a box with Q&A underneath. So please use the Q&A for any questions, but we can also use the chat for communicating and sharing with one another. Also, please avoid buzzwords, and please explain your references and acronyms so that we all know what you're talking about. For example, ACCM is coming up in April. ACCM is Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. We're going to be talking a lot more about that throughout the rest of this webinar. So, yep, please just avoid using acronyms so we all have an understanding of what you're referring to. And then we just ask for respect in the chat, or if you share out, honoring one another's perspectives. And again, the Q&A box is a feature at the bottom for any questions. You can go ahead to that next slide, please. All right, and this is just a little Zoom, more information, some cool tools to use. So Zoom subtitles, you'll see at the bottom of your screen, where when you scroll over that bottom bar, you'll see show captions, which on my screen, it's right next to my Q&A box, and in between Q&A and pause or stop recording. But that's because I'm a host. So yours might look a little bit different, but it'll say show captions. And so you want to click on the CC button, and to turn on or off anytime, you can click that little up arrow, the little up symbol, arrow symbol that's shooted up to view or adjust your caption settings. All right, next slide there. All right, and if you would like to adjust how you're seeing the slide deck and the participants or the speaker, you can use this cool Zoom tip, which is adjusting your view option. So you're going to click on the view on the button on the upper right-hand corner, and you can choose side-by-side option. Hover your cursor over the gray line, which is in the middle of your screen, to adjust the size of that slide deck. All right, go ahead to that next slide. And this is just a little bit about our partnering organizations. We have sister organizations, you could call them. CA for the Arts is our lobbying organization. It's a 501c4. And that is where we do most of our lobbying. And it is our sister organization to CA for the Arts, which you all are probably quite familiar with. So CA for the Arts is where we do our programming. This program is housed under CA for the Arts, and we have services, and we develop advocacy networks. All right, and go ahead to that next screen. This is our beautiful team. This is not inclusive of our team. We do have special consultants and others that we work with throughout the year on projects like graphic designers. This is our core team. So some of our core team is here today, and you all are probably familiar with many of the faces here. So you can go ahead to the next screen. All right, and we're going to get in a little bit about Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. Remember earlier I mentioned acronyms. So this is our 7th celebration in California. In 2019, it was declared by the California Senate in a concurrent resolution And then in 2021, there was an additional resolution that was recognized and declared to recognize artists as second responders. And that has been something that we've been building off of, as you see, for many years. So when we talk about our summit coming up, we're going to talk about the theme of it this year. And it really also has to do with artists being second responders. And it's rooted in ACCM and us recognizing and socializing the importance of arts and culture in our state. You can go ahead to that next one, next slide there. So our theme this year is health, healing, and hope. If you remember last year, if you were around last year, our theme was artwork is real work. And in many ways, this is like in alignment. It's in a way that a lot of people may not connect the dots, but for us to work, for us to be productive, artists or any other sector, you have to have health, healing, and hope. And in so many ways, the arts help us, and it's a social determinant of health. And it's a way that our society gets to grow and to expand their well-being. And so we decided to make this our theme this year, health, healing, and hope, which is really timely, as you all can imagine, with everything happening in the world, for us to focus on this. So I think that it's going to be a really pivotal year for creativity in California. And we hope that you will join us at the summit. And I think this is my last slide. So thank you all for joining us. And I think I'm going to pass it. Oh, maybe there's one more. Sorry, I wanted to touch on this too. Tickets are on sale for the summit. I mentioned the summit. Our theme this year for our Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month is Health, Healing, and Hope. And the summit is a time where we have about 400 people coming together to really organize, galvanize, think about what is the future of the arts and culture sector here in California. And so please join us. We have opportunities for artist tickets. If you're interested, if you're an artist, a working artist, and you're interested in getting a discounted ticket, the tickets are half off for artists. We have a limited number of tickets, so please get your tickets as soon as you can. Again, it's half off, and then for artists. And then we are working on getting scholarships, and they will be announced within the next, probably in March. We'll be announcing, because right now we're developing and growing our scholarship fund. So we'll see how much funds we'll have to be able to support with scholarships. And I know there's a lot of questions around that right now. So if you are in a position where you would like to support others, we do have a scholarship link that we can share out. And it is a great way to give and make sure that artists and creatives can be at the summit. And it's an expensive process to do, so we lean on our community, we lean on the field to make this happen. All right, and now I'm going to pass it over to Tracy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us and for saying hello in the chat. And of course, April is also budget negotiation month. So ahead of the May revise. So as most of you, I think, looking around at the attendees know, Arts Advocacy Day is held in conjunction with the California Arts and Culture Summit the day after at Capitol Park in Sacramento. And the Arts Advocacy Day has a rally, and then we organize into meetings with our legislators, and Advocacy Day is free. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this. And also and this is one of our signature, the summit, Advocacy Day, and then our toolkits are our signature Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month programs. And some of you might have already accessed the Activate Locally toolkit. That is resources for galvanizing your local community around Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. We'll be sending a follow-up email to all of you with links to both the toolkits. There's a webinar about that toolkit, and you can learn more there and reach out to me if you have any questions. And then today we're covering the Activate State Lawmakers toolkit, which is the captain's toolkit for this year. And then what'll be coming later in March is the Activate the Public toolkit that has all the social media, press releases, way to activate the public and your media around Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. And then we also have webinars for how to use the toolkits. And then we will have on April 3rd, the Get Ready to Advocate virtual rally. That's where we'll go do a deeper dive into kind of the budget and policy context on the state level with our lobbyist and Julie, our CEO, and talk about the budget asks and policy legislative asks and strategies and ways of having effective meetings, et cetera. We'll take a much deeper dive into the things that we'll be advocating for Advocacy Day, and also for folks that want to organize meeting with legislators in their districts or on Zoom. So without further ado, let's start talking about, organizing our, the resources we put together to support folks that want to organize meetings with state lawmakers on behalf of their communities. And I just want to check my notes here. Okay. And this year we're doing the captain's program a little differently. There is a poll, I think, that we're gonna launch. Am I right? Am I in the right spot, guys? I'm sorry, I'm the one sharing my screen and I can't see anything. So pretty soon I'll be out of full screen and then I'll be more in the reel with y'all. Okay, so this year we're we're asking captains to do a couple of different things than we've had in previous years, building on the feedback that we've got in terms of just having successful legislative meetings on Advocacy Day and in districts. So what we're having captains do this year is that, and we're calling it the Captain Core, is that you all will be requesting and scheduling meetings with your lawmakers and recruiting advocates, preparing your team, conducting or facilitating the lawmaker meetings, and then doing some follow-up. Thank you with the legislator, as well as reporting back to California arts advocates. And what we're hoping to deliver for you is value in terms of offering free individual memberships to California arts advocates, our lobbying voice, a $50 discount for folks that can attend the summit and attend the summit, building relationships with state lawmakers, getting to know advocates in your community, and having titles for these roles that you can add to your resume. So there's California Arts Advocates, Advocacy Day Captains, or District Captains, and we'll unpack both of those. Also in this webinar, I know there are a lot of you on here who are experienced captains already, and we're gonna throw some questions out for you to also talk about your experience, share your insights. You're the experts, and we really want to encourage a learning community for all of us, because we learn a lot from you as well, and iterate based on what we learn. And I would like to ask one question to think about, and then we're going to launch a poll. For those who have served as captains before, is there any other value that you found to being a captain that maybe we're not hitting on there? If you could think on that and throw some thoughts in the chat, that'd be great. And I'm going to ask Jenica if you could launch our first poll so we get a sense of who's in the room. We'd love to know what's your experience for those that have been here. If you've been a previous captain, if you're interested, if you're if you're serving as a new captain this year, great. Yeah, then we can kind of target our information for you all. Awesome. Great, thank you. And for previous captains, if you've got some insights to share in terms of value in the chat. And if anybody does share in the chat, if folks on my team can share out from that, that'd be great. All right. Oh, this is really exciting to have a mix of new and experienced and curious. That's great. Meeting arts leaders from across the state. Eliza sharing in terms of value, it's understanding the need as a captain to aim for a bigger picture versus individual priorities. I love that. That advocating for the whole, having a stake in everybody's success and facilitating that. That's a great insight. Great. Okay. All right. I'm going to thank you. Yeah, keep them coming. your insights to share with folks. I'm going to advance to the next slide. So there are two ways to lead lawmaker meetings that this toolkit supports. One is serving as an Arts Advocacy Day captain at the Capitol on Wednesday, April 23rd. And the other is serving as a district captain, organizing your own virtual meetings. And you could really, in April, in alignment with our budget and legislative asks, our policy priorities this year, and you can organize in-person meetings. Your lawmakers will be in district. The legislature will be on recess April 11th through April 21st. So that's a Friday to the Sunday, I think 20th. So that week, April 13th to 18th, they're likely to be in district and taking meetings at their office. Also, if you've got programming going on and are celebrating Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month, that's a great window to invite them to attend your events and speak and address your audiences or address your networks, et cetera. So this toolkit will have resources for both types of lawmaker meetings, but also you can use the things that'll be linked out in these resources anytime, just to support you doing that. So this toolkit has both district and advocacy day captains will be requesting and scheduling their meeting, recruiting advocates, preparing their team, conducting lawmaker meetings, following up to your meetings, et cetera. But there's slides specific to both types of leadership that link out to resources within the toolkit specific to that you share, as well as things specific to Arts Advocacy Day. At the end, near the end, we'll dive a little bit more into the specifics of Arts Advocacy Day. But I am curious. Oh, share results. Did we share results with the poll? Sorry, y'all, I'm in full screen mode. So am I sharing the results now?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, cool. Thanks. And then we'd love to launch a second poll. Thank you, Eliza, for commenting on district meetings, about what you're here to organize. If you're doing Arts Advocacy Day, or if you're interested in serving as a district captain this year, or if you're interested in both, just to get a sense of who's in the room and how deep to go. Great. And as you're taking the poll, I'm just going to talk a little bit more. So the how to captain slides for both roles, these all link out to resources. Everything underlined is linked out to a resource, either another slide in the toolkit or to there's a whole folder that has resources, and I'll be sharing some of those. But these, in terms of navigating your toolkit, you can use all of these to link. And Advocacy Day, interested in both, great. And if somebody on the team, when the poll is closed, could share for me, I'm going to keep going here. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to flag something. Sorry, I meant to do this. Should not be multitasking. In terms of the Advocacy Day, I just wanted to flag the key deadlines for folks. We're going to get you talk about registering for your meetings, and great. And with like almost half of us are here for Advocacy Day, and the other half are interested in both. So awesome, great to know. And I'm going to share results real quick, and then I'll stop sharing. There you go, glimpse. Okay, thanks. So just, and this is both for district and Arts Advocacy Day, but start requesting your meetings in early March, and I'll show you what the resources are for that. This year for Advocacy Day, we are closing registration for all advocates on April 4th, which will allow our captains 2 weeks to connect with their advocates with the meeting preparation tools, and we'll talk about what those are. You'll both have both groups will have access to that, both types of both captains. And we ask you to prepare your team between April 4th and the 20th, and conduct your lawmaker meetings will happen, of course, on April 23rd. And then we'll be asking all of everyone to follow up and report and fill out their captain's report by April 30th. And again, we'll talk about some more of these tools shortly. Similarly for captains. These also link out to resources. Some of those are shared, the same resources as the Advocacy Day folks. Tips for effective meetings, a link for submitting captain reports, and I'll be sharing the legislative committees. That's also in the toolkit. So, but we definitely recommend scheduling early March and conducting lawmaker meetings when you can in April or year round with these resources. And then April 30th, reporting out on how your meetings went. So then I am going to share the research lawmaker resources, and I'm going to jump out of full screen and just share this slide. So I'll make this bigger just for a second. So there are a couple things in terms of identifying lawmakers that you're going to organize meetings with. One is, of course, lawmakers really want to meet with their constituents. So using your address and our Find Your Lawmakers web tool, using either your business or your home address, locate your districts, both on federal, state, and city level. It's a great resource, and it also links out to an email address and website, etc. If your organization serves a county or overlaps multiple districts, etc., I'm going to share some tools for locating by county. And then also we link out to an interactive map where you can see and select districts. You can see layers of Senate and Assembly districts if you feel like the folks you serve fall into maybe multiple lawmaker districts, et cetera. So there's some layers of identifying your lawmakers. And I'm just going to show real quick our Find Your Lawmakers. And this is my address, and I'll just show you how this kind of drills down. It starts with federal and then California. These are all elected officials, but we're setting up meetings with you're setting up meetings with your senators, your state senator, and your state assembly member. You can see it's got the contact information here, their room numbers, but all of this will actually be populated for Advocacy Day as well in a resource for folks to help organize themselves at the Capitol. And I'll talk about that more. And it can go all the way down. Our resource goes all the way down to your county and city. So if you ever need to find out who you should be meeting with and building relationships with, this is a great tool. And then on the state assembly side, if you want to find out who your representatives are by county, you can put it in here and it'll sort who they are by county. Who covers your county. And on the Senate side, it's a little goofier. They have a county representation here, like here's the full membership of the state Senate, but you can pull up a county representation, and it's essentially a Google Doc, highly sophisticated, but just to show those resources to you. And then we also recommend researching, sorry, I'm trying to get Zoom out of my way here. Researching your lawmakers to build connections, find out, visit their website, check their social media, see if you can locate their voting records on particular issues, etc., and find out what's their personal background, what's important to them. And then we include in our toolkit here the key committees, and I'll show that right now, slideshow. These are Senate, both Assembly, Senate, and joint committees that govern arts spending or policy that touches the arts, like Senate, what we would call Senate Sub 4 or Senate Assembly Sub 5. This governs California Arts Council line item. Arts policy, the joint committee, and the Assembly Committee, Arts and Entertainment. So all of these, and the budget and appropriations, and the arts education committees. We also partner with Create California, and we'll have policy priorities and legislative asks for you to include in your advocacy, April advocacy related to arts education as well. And if you link out to any of these, you'll see the roster of these committees and see if your legislator is serving on those. And then I'm going to turn it over to Jenica, who was our scheduler and did such an amazing job last year, and walk you through some of the steps of requesting and scheduling meetings. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So a couple of things. You're going to be scheduling as a captain. You're going to be scheduling your meetings with the offices directly. So that'll give you some control over your schedule. So that's going to be a plus for you this year. Some things to note, you're going to email them first. And oftentimes it takes them a while to respond. Sometimes they might respond to you and say, submit the scheduling request form. So you're going to go ahead and do that. Again, sometimes it takes them a little bit. They get a lot of volume of requests. So sometimes it takes them a little bit to get back to you. But if you don't hear anything from them within 7 business days, go ahead and follow up by email. And if that doesn't work, if you still don't get a response, feel free to call them. That is probably my #1 tip for you. Go ahead and call them if you don't hear anything. They're usually pretty good about responding day of or letting you know when they'll get back to you. So definitely use the phone calling and build that relationship that way. They'll hear your voice. You know, that's a great way to connect with the offices too. So, the relationship building with the offices, you know, starts with the scheduling and reaching out to them. So this is a great way to get to know the office too. So you're going to request a 30-minute meeting for Wednesday, April 23rd. If you're an Arts Advocacy Day Captain, and suggest a few time frames that work best for you. If you give them, you know, 11 to 3 p.m., they're going to say, oh, let's just do the 11 a.m. So if you have a sort of a time block, let them know that, then you can kind of hone in on the best time that works for everybody. For district captains, you're going to also request a 30-minute meeting either in person or at their office during the week of April 13th through 18th when they are in recess and in their district offices. And then you're going to ask if they can meet virtually or in person. So yeah, so it's just email, consistent, persistent, that sort of thing.
And I wanted to, Jenica, back you up with the resources
Great.
before moving on.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Thanks so much. Yeah, so these are the email templates. You'll definitely have access to these links in the toolkit so you can refer to them, update them for your usage. And yeah, super helpful, I would say. So saves you some time there on getting your emails out. And this is also a useful resource. This is the contacts and socials for all of the lawmakers and their offices. So you get the scheduler email, and you can see the scheduling request links. They may end up asking you to submit that form instead. So yeah, so all of this is super helpful information for you for reference.
I also want to just show one of these scheduling request links real quick. Because they might ask you the purpose of the meeting, and that's where you can plug in like, oh, I'm arts advocates are celebrating arts, culture, and creativity. We want to come talk to you about the things we are making happen or the challenges in your district, etc. And sometimes they'll ask you if you're talking about a specific bill number. If they follow up and have questions, you can say, because we will make the policy priorities and talking points available. I believe it's by April 1st. But when you can schedule your meeting and say, I'm going to follow up with a list of advocates or a list of constituents in your district. I'm going to follow up with a list of constituents and some details on the items we'll be talking about later. So you don't have to have, they might ask for things that you don't have quite yet, and that's okay. You can just say, I'll provide that later. So sorry there. Okay, Jenica, back. Sorry.
Oh, good. No worries. All right. So part 2. So you worked with the offices trying to get your meeting scheduled, and finally you have your meeting scheduled. Congratulations. So once your meeting is booked, you have the time confirmed, the location, all that information is pretty solid. There may be some changes that might occur, but you essentially have the time, so that's great. Once you have that information, send a calendar invite to your lawmaker contacts and your advocates. This allows everyone to make sure they're on the same page. meeting time, all of that. For Arts Advocacy Day Captains, we're having folks submit a booked meeting form, so that's slightly different than last year, but this will allow us to update our system on our side, and so everyone has access to that updated information as it comes in, and our lovely Jennifer is going to be helping with that, so thank you so much. And the deadline to schedule your meetings is April 7th. We really want to try to make it easier for everyone involved and set that time there. And then, as you know, things happen, things change, schedules fluctuate. So April 18th, deadline for last minute changes. We know there's going to be changes happening once you schedule your meeting, and that's just how it is. But April 18th, after that day, we're just going to make it easy for everyone. That's the last day we're going to make any last minute changes. And so folks are, in the loop and everything. District captains, let your advocates know of the meeting time and place. If it's a virtual meeting, set up the invite with your attendees and include all the necessary office staff. And so once that's done, that's great. A week before, in an ideal world, a week before, confirm the meeting with your lawmaker and advocates. Make sure it's all good to go. Include an update on the list of advocates attending, and send a similar email to your advocate team. And this is when you start really getting in more communication with your advocates. And one final tip, be flexible. This is just, working with those offices. All of you probably know that from doing this before, but be flexible. There's going to be last minute changes. You may end up meeting with a lawmaker in a much shorter time frame than you expected. You might have to meet outside in the hallway. So, we'll just go with the flow as much as we can on that day. So.
Great. Thank you. And we're going to cover first the items that are relevant to both Arts Advocacy Day captains and district captains. And then we'll take a deeper dive into our Advocacy Day organizing tools after we get through some of these items that apply to everybody. So we'll definitely be showing that. And then if you want to recruit advocates for Advocacy Day, we're recruiting obviously to the whole state. Who's coming to the summit? Who would like to join for Advocacy Day? And so then captains, we ask our Advocacy Day, Arts Advocacy Day captains to be open to have, whoever comes from their community, organizing those folks. And then on district captains, you probably will recruit your own advocates, or reach out to your community. For both purposes, if you do want to make sure there are people in your community that come to your meetings, in the captain's email templates, we have just a cut and paste email updated for this year's information about Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month for you to cut and paste and invite advocates. We are also providing, developing Advocacy Day graphics promoting Advocacy Day, and you have access to that folder where you can also use social media graphics if you want to use social media, etc. So that will be available to you if you choose to recruit folks. And then preparing your team. And this is a prep meeting tips and flow, and we recommend starting with, if you're bringing people to the table that don't all know each other, starting with an icebreaker so folks can get to know each other. What's their role in the arts and culture? What city do they come from, etc. Get everybody to know each other, about each other. Ask folks what matters the most to them. And this will help set your meeting priorities. When we produce the policy priorities for this legislative session, which would be budget asks and legislation that we're asking lawmakers to act on, and we're also going to be socializing a lot of things that are unfunded, things that were previous programs. So there will be a menu, and then arts education issues as well. There will be a menu of issues and talking points for you to choose from within your own group. And you'll probably pick 3 to 4 topics to talk to the lawmakers about from that menu of choices. So this question about what matters most to people and are the folks that you're going to be on your team and how it aligns with some of these asks, this will be just important prep work to figure out who's going to speak to what issue. And then again, going back around and connecting with the policy priorities, that and the talking points. And again, those documents will be ready for everybody April 1st. And then recommend designating speakers. You could even create a script, cut and paste from the talking points document and just make your own script for everybody. And then really recommend that you also make sure that someone take notes and reports back on the sentiments of the lawmaker or their staffer, insights, etc., and take a photo or screenshot of your Zoom meeting that you can share on socials and thank them after. So those are key roles to prepare folks to do. And helpful tips, all kind of obvious, a week before if you can. Although at Advocacy Day, sometimes folks meet for the first time there, but because we will have really clearly designated captains and enough time for prep time, you all work out what's best for you. And then also it is very likely that we will meet with staffers. We might meet with really young new staffers. You might meet with a legislative director, etc. And don't be disappointed. Those are key relationships. Sometimes those folks serve as the issue area experts for lawmakers. So having them be deeply informed of the dimensions of the issues and the policy and budget issues, et cetera, is really helpful. And a lot of times those folks move through the system and might work for another lawmaker or might end up working at an agency or things like that. So all that relationship building is really, really valuable. And also 25% of the legislature is new this year, brand new to serving in this capacity. So we're going to be doing a lot of educating, a lot of building awareness. And so doing that at the staff level is just as important. And the talking points and the way that all of you already talk about the work you're doing, really making it relevant to them in their districts. We'll touch on that again. And you might in your prep meeting prepare enough for a 30-minute meeting, but you may only get 15 minutes. It may get shortened depending on their schedule, depending on what votes are happening on the floor, etc. So just having some prep, finding out what kind of the essentials are to your group, and then being able to be flexible within the meeting will be really helpful. And then conducting the meeting with the lawmaker, really, really recommend being on time. They get pretty understandably frustrated because they have tight schedules if folks are late. And give yourself some lead time to get there ahead of time. If you're at Advocacy Day, give yourself 15 minutes to get through security in the buildings. Give yourself some cushion there. This is another reason why we're having captains schedule their meetings this year, because you all are more aware of where you need to be when you need to head back home in terms of travel schedules, etc. But that should really help with that cushion time in terms of getting in and out of security, etc. So in terms of the ideal meeting structure, have an introduction for the group. We will have something scripted in the talking points document, but make it your own. And then have everyone introduce themselves in 1 to 2 sentences. So the person you're meeting with, the lawmaker or staffer, knows who's in the room. You end up making visible what everybody's making happen in that district just by introducing everyone. And we cap Advocacy Day meetings at 10 for district captains. You really recommend 4 to 5 people. You can have a really rich conversation, but 2 people is great too. 1 person who is speaking for the whole, that's all of that is good. But if for Advocacy Day, or if you have a large number of people and there isn't time for everybody to speak, that introduction is really important. And you can also come up with an icebreaker for your lawmaker. The best one is being aware of a legislation or an effort that they've made and thanking them for it, if you can do that kind of research, or asking them what their personal connection is to the arts, even asking a staffer that, or asking if they know what the lawmaker's personal connection is. You'll also, or what are you hearing about in your district about the arts? Getting them talking is a great opening and a great way to build connection. And also, if it's possible, to lead with a thank you, like if you know, in terms of recent impacts of recent funding or programs. And we will be, when we do the virtual rally and talk about the issues more depth, we'll get into, we'll go a little deeper into this conducting meetings with lawmakers as well in that virtual rally. And how to utilize the talking points. I'll show you a sample of the talking points now. And then, but again, requesting to take a photo and permission to share on social media, thanking lawmaker and staff. And we will have a leave behind packet that for district and Arts Advocacy Day folks. That would be our policy priorities document, which gives background on the issues that we'll be covering in talking points. And also Create California provides leave behinds as well. And when your meeting ends, debrief with your advocates and notate any key takeaways that you can share with us in the captain's report. And let me do a little show and tell on these documents too. The policy priorities, for example, for last year, this was a more a page on kind of the context of California and California funding, and then deeper dive into some of our asks last year. More money for the California Arts Council, funding for the Equitable Payroll Fund. So this is both, you will have this in advance of the 2025 version of this, in advance of your prep meeting with your advocates, and it will also be a leave behind that you can send ahead of time to your legislators. Say, we're going to be covering these issues. You can send as a follow-up, as a thank you, or you can physically leave it behind at Advocacy Day, or for your print your own. And then last year's talking point document, this is really kind of a document like you cut and paste and make use of this as you like. It lists some of the talking points, the things that we provided background information for your group, and you can have folks sign up for a couple of these and say, okay, we're going to cover these items. You can see we had a lot to talk about last year. So, and then prompting your group, are there any thank yous? We can do a general introduction, and we provide descriptor, some, data and talking points for you to use. And then if we're giving some context in California, what's happening in California, big picture, and then talking points specific to each of the policy issues. Usually we have a data point and we ask you to organize, locate, within your group of advocates, their personal impact story related to a policy priority or talking point, or I'm sorry, policy or budget ask. So essentially, I'm not going to spend too much time. This is a script that you can cut and paste, cut things out of, identify the key things you're all going to talk about, background information, so you've got data points, but really it's going to be your personal, what the insights and your personal experience are going to be the most meaningful. So we really encourage folks to, in that prep meeting, surface those stories and identify what you think is going to be most impactful for your legislator to hear. And let me scooch back here. And then, I'm just going to share this quick video. This is just some tips for how to have an effective meeting, and also a link. The toolkit provides a link to download our guide to successful advocacy, which is essentially a booklet about how to do this anytime and how to be effective at it. Also really want to encourage, and it's not noted here, I realize we're missing, but if you don't know something, if they ask you a question and you don't know, that is amazing, because that's an opening to follow up. that's an opening to say, oh, let me get back to you on that, or let me find out some more. You don't have to be an expert on everything. You're just an expert on what you know. And that is adequate because you're their eyes and ears on the ground. So this is just kind of a list for ways to think about, how to conduct yourself in the meeting, how to, and how important what you have to offer is. And I'm just going to share this video.
Advice I would give to
This is former Assembly, now a speaker called Speaker Emeritus, but former Speaker of the Assembly, Anthony Rendon. And if there's any issues with the sound, somebody give me a holler, but.
arts advocates is the same advice I give to any advocate, but with a slightly different spin. It's a huge state, 40 million people. When I'm in Sacramento, I wake up every day. I'm 400 miles from my home, 400 miles from my district. The best thing you can do as an advocate is to make whatever issue you're talking about seem like a local issue to that legislator. You go to visit Blanca Pacheco, who's from Downey, and say, hi, I'm from Downey. This is what we do in your city. These are the kids that we have an impact on. You come to me and say, I'm from Linwood. I'm from Southgate. We recognize that. We recognize that sense of immediacy, that lack of abstraction, how direct it is to people living in our district. I think that's incredibly important for arts funding. I think it's incredibly important in general.
Thank you, Speaker Rendon. Great. Jenica, you want to talk about the follow-up process?
Sure. So you've done your meetings with the lawmakers. It went great. And now you're going to send them a follow-up thank you to, acknowledge the time that they took, and you can sort of follow up on what was discussed, etc. Answer any questions after. If they had any questions that you, like Tracy said, couldn't answer in the moment, you can also provide the answer in this follow-up email. And if you guys took photos during the meeting, this is a great time to attach them. Also share on social media, and you can use that contacts list that we shared and showed you earlier and post about it. You can tag us using these hashtags, thank the lawmaker again, and continue and initiate that relationship. And, it's the start of something. If you don't know these lawmakers, it's the start of something that you can carry on throughout the year. And then once that's all done, let us know how it went. And this is when we submit the captain's meeting report. We want this due for Arts Advocacy Day, especially. And then if you did your in-district meetings, have it submitted by April 30th so we can review, see what we can do next, and get that information from you. We'll also have an advocate survey that we will want advocates to submit as well to give us their feedback so we can continue improving on this for next year and years to follow. So yeah, and celebrate, tag us, share your photos. We love to see what happened and all the footage. So yeah, definitely share those pictures with us.
Great. I'm going to pause just for a second in terms of sharing. I think I stopped sharing. And open the floor just to ask some of our previous captains a couple of questions, and then we're going to move on to the Advocacy Day specifics. So just wanted to ask if any of the previous captains have any tips on scheduling their meetings, if they've ever scheduled before, any things that you've learned that you thought might be good for the group to hear, learn about from you. Any tips on scheduling and any tips on prepping your group? If you've got any thoughts to share in the chat, that would be great. And do we make sure we don't have anything in the Q&A, and then we'll move on to Advocacy Day. Delicate question. Okay. Oh, good. Confirming, Captain. We'll get into that with Advocacy Day. With all the chaos coming out about funding, do we bring this up to lawmakers? Sorry, I half read that out loud. Ben is asking, this is a delicate question. With all of the chaos coming out of Washington about funding of all sorts, do we bring this up to the lawmakers? That's a really great question. And that's something that we're exploring right now in terms of our positioning and framing. budget asks, especially this year, because and we'll learn more, we'll talk more about this in the virtual rally, sorry, getting ready to advocate in terms of the context, but it's likely to be a very tough budget year. There's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what's going to happen with federal dollars coming to states. And so reading the room, it's like, oh, should we be asking for more funding? But of course, we're always going to ask for more funding because we're not getting enough and all that kind of stuff. But maybe one of the context of that ask is with what's happening on the federal government, we need California to stand behind, freedom of expression and our arts and culture as much of our identity, that which is our state identity, really core to our identity. But I think some of that strategy and that framing, we'll have a deeper dive in the Get Ready to Advocate virtual rally on April 3rd. But that's a great question. And then just some tips in the chat. Scheduling, make sure you let them know that you can be as brief or as long as the lawmaker has time for. Thank you, Alexandra. Group prepping, ask your group if they have other items they want to include. Yep. And build an agenda. Otherwise, someone will surprise you and take over the meeting with their specific agenda. That's a really great point. And also another dimension to that, Michaela, and thank you for bringing that up, is we might have talking points and policy asks for you to lean on, but really it's your lawmaker, it's your meeting, it's your relationship, your group's relationships. And if there are other items you want to speak to and there's agreement and with a captain and a facilitator in that role, that should help a lot with making sure that folks, there's some consensus on what you want to cover. Better to agree to a 10-minute meeting than not get one at all. Yeah, thanks, Alex. Oh, great. And if you know the lawmaker or their staff personally in district, reach out that way in addition to the Sacramento office if you need to get the meeting. Thank you for sharing that. And Alexander is also sharing prepping is really important and be able to pivot it helps to be able to pivot if the meeting gets cut short or you end up standing in the hall. Like, oh, you guys are amazing. Okay, we'll share. Well, these are going to be in our FAQs. Scheduling, make sure you have space between meetings because meetings might run long or be on opposite sides of the building. Great. What if someone shows up who did not sign up and can go rogue? That can happen. Thank you for bringing that up, Patricia. So that is why we are cutting off advocate registration on April 4th. And folks will come at Advocacy Day. That's an Advocacy Day specific question, but folks will have to check in, sign in. And for those that aren't registered, they will be told to meet on the hour in a meeting space and they'll get a packet and an opportunity to connect. So we're going to, at the check-in, really make sure that folks don't jump into, know where they're supposed to be and if they're in a meeting or not a meeting. And then also we're going to really lean on captains like you've done this work, you've taken responsibility for your group. If there's somebody that is a tag along with one of your other advocates, just be really clear that we've prepped and please introduce yourself. And feel free to, even in the meeting, facilitate. And if somebody starts talking in a particular direction, you can say, you know what, let's all follow up on that topic later. And there's some other items that we need to address in the meeting with you. We'd love to put before you. So thank you for sharing that, but we can circle back with some follow-up on that later. So just feel free to take that facilitator role. You've taken on this responsibility for your group. You have the authority to make sure it's a successful experience for everybody. Okay, and then I'm going to get into some Advocacy Day specifics because there's some logistics around that and also new tools. But folks who are before I do that, is there anybody who's got questions about being a district captain at this point? Usually they're relevant to both groups, but we'll put them in the chat and we'll stop and we'll stop and address them. And I'm going to go back to sharing. Yeah, so these are photos from a couple of years ago, but the Zoom meetings are just as festive and really in terms of district captains, whether you're Zoom or in person, it's super effective. It's a great way to be more inclusive and get people to the table and into conversation with their legislators if you can't all be in the same place. And then here's some images from Advocacy Day as well. Okay, so what to expect on Advocacy Day? We're going to wear green this year in alignment with Hope, Healing, and Health. Advocates will check in they'll be check-in 8:30 to 9:30. The rally will be in Capitol Park, and we'll have a map for you all as we have the exact quadrant set aside or reserved. And meetings, generally, we recommend you schedule them between 10 and 3. They can go later if you don't have a long travel to return home. And we recommend business casual with comfortable shoes, so you're good walking around, a little water bottle. There is food and cafes and stuff nearby. And again, we'll have a map for you. And we talked about giving yourself 15 minutes to get through security. And again, as captains, you get to kind of control that schedule in terms of your scheduling with the legislator's office. So that'll be cool. You might want to meet up with have a plan for meeting up with your group before the meetings. And we will, I'll show you the resources. We will have contact sheets so that advocates and captains, everybody knows how to reach each other, and have some specific hashtags. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Branded t-shirts. Yes, we just talked about that. We are going to have t-shirts available to order ahead of time, and you'll be able to pick them up. You'll have to pre-order, prepay, and then pick them up at Advocacy Day check-in. And yeah. Great. Thanks for bringing that up. So in terms of, I wanted to share just some of the Advocacy Day tools. And I'm going to jump out of full screen so I can get to things. I wanted to show the Advocacy Day registration site and how this is going to work. So we're using a new tool. It's called Stova, but folks will jump on and register, and it's used for the summit and Advocacy Day, but you can just register for Advocacy Day if you're not attending the summit. And you would create a new registration, put your information in. And again, there's a captain's ticket. If you're going to the summit, you'll have a discounted ticket available to you. And then when you get to the what is a select your agenda page, I'm going to walk you through this because it I'm not 100. If you select only Advocacy Day, my hope is that you only see Advocacy Day selections for the agenda. But the way that this works, my registration won't let me see what you see. So fingers crossed, I'm just going to walk you through it visually. So when you're doing it for the first time, it's not unfamiliar. So on the select your agenda page, folks who are attending the summit and Advocacy Day will see below the sessions that they can sign up for. And I'm going to show you that. Here for Advocacy Day, there are some tips for selecting your meeting, how to find your agenda, find your lawmakers, and how to sign up below for your meetings. And the lawmaker times and locations will be added. But for captains, we ask that you first indicate here if you're going to serve as a captain and what districts. You put in your legislator name or district numbers, and then Jennifer Quo is going to email you to confirm that what captain you will be, what meetings you will be captaining. So we really need captains to start here, let us know, and then you can go below. And if you were attending the summit, all of the items under 42225, that's the summit. These are the different sessions for the summit that you can sign up for. Once you get to 42325, that's when you sign up for Advocacy Day meetings. So what we ask you to do is to click on all the meetings that you plan to attend, whether as a captain or an advocate. And then because we have 10 slots for each meeting. And then once you indicate which districts you're captaining, and Jennifer matches that up with, and sometimes folks might be asking to captain the same lawmaker meeting. So we'll have to have a little bit of a back and forth and clarifying who's the captain. Then we go back in and we will be indicating in here the name of the captain's email, and then you will be able to see, oh boy, I bet are you able to see my pop-ups the way I'm doing this or no?
No, we're good.
No.
Just
Okay, no, okay, but okay. sorry, let me get back here. Clicking in here. Hold on, I want you to be able to see the pop-ups. Let me try again. My apologies for being zoomy weird. Okay. Great. Okay, so once you are confirmed as a captain, we'll go back in and indicate. Okay, now the pop-up's not even showing, sorry. Oh. Okay, yeah, indicate who the captain is and their contact information. And then you'll also be able to click and see who's registered for the session. And we will have, it's taking a moment to load, but we will have, and then we will also have reports that captains can access with everybody's contact information. Now, right now we're also with the Stova site. Oh, let me back up for just a second and show you one more item in here. And then additionally to this left-hand column, once you get your meeting scheduled and you submit it in the booked meeting form, we will add the time, and the location's already in here, but the times will be added. So the meeting times will be clear to everybody. We're also now in the phase of setting up what it will be a phone-based app of this registration site, and you'll be able to see all of this in your phone as well. And that is in the process of being set up right now. So I'm sorry I can't show you that tool, but you will have right at the ready time, location, who's the captain, access to contact information, etc. And then, yeah, this is the booked meeting form. We ask you to, select which meeting you've booked, and then you'll go to, then tell us, I'm sorry, it's not, tell us the time, tell us the person that you're meeting with, whether it's a staffer or the legislator, the start time and the end time of the meeting, and confirming the location. There may be an instance where the legislator is like, well, I'm going to be stepping into a hearing, so actually, don't meet me at my office, meet me at the Capitol. So if there's some different, if you're not meeting at their office, you'll be able to indicate it in the book meeting form, and we'll update that accordingly in the registration site. Additionally, yeah, I think that's it there. Any questions so far? Let me check in the chat with this new tool. Okay. Oh, the question about more than one captain. Yeah. Okay. We're figuring out how to indicate co-captains. Thank you. Thank you, Edmund, for being here. And so that is how we will be updating as we go. And then I think, let me just see if there's anything and other things to cover in the toolkit. And yeah, I see you've raised your hand. Is she able to talk, y'all?
I think we might have to do an approval. Was that Ann, you said?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if your hand is still up, we just have to click on that button that says allowed to talk. I don't see any more hands.
Oh, here.
Questions in the chat. Oh, let's see, Anne. Oh, we have a local meeting with potential Advocacy Day. Is there a direct link we can share today for registration? Absolutely. Absolutely. And Jenica, could you drop that in the chat, the registration? And then there is also, thank you. Sorry, I missed that, Anne. Great. Yay, yay. And there is, and so let me share the Advocacy Day resources. So back to, there's in the toolkit, there's this, which you have access to. There's a link to register, the booked meeting, what to expect on Advocacy Day, which is that slide. And then there's an info site, and we're going to be updating this web page with FAQs and questions and things that we learned from you, as well as some of these key links and timelines, etc. And then and this is more of kind of a written instructions for how to use the registration site, but I really wanted to show it visually because this can be a little bit abstract. And then again, we'll be confirming the districts you're captaining, and then you'll be following up with us and letting us know when you book meetings. And then the resource page in the toolkit links out to all of the resource links in just one spot, so you don't have to go digging through. And again, a reminder about the Get Ready to Advocate virtual rally registration link here. And then I'm going to have introduce Jennifer Kuo, who's going to be coordinating our captains program, and have her say hello and talk about the other supports available.
Thank you, Tracy. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Kuo. I've been working in the world of arts and public health and have been working with CA for the Arts as a consultant building their arts and health initiative. I'm really grateful to have experienced Arts Advocacy Day last year as an advocate. And I'm really happy and excited to help out the team this year with organizing all the new systems and tools. And I've been in email communication with all of some of you so far, so stay tuned. Thank you, team, for prepping all of these wonderful resources for our captains and advocates to wrap it up in a nice bow. So you'll see on the right side, there's all these link outs to the different various resources that Tracy has mentioned, and some that will be available on April 1st. Also on the left side of the slide, you'll see that we will be hosting some office hours for captain and advocates on Fridays on February 28th, March 28th, April 4th, and April 11th that you can sign up for. Looking forward to supporting all of you and learning from you. I will definitely be seeing you virtually through email or office hours, and eventually in person in April. So thank you for your leadership.
Yeah, thank you. And actually the office hours are a personal meeting room. So that Zoom link is in this toolkit. You can drop in there during those times. Try not to drop in other times. Who knows what'll be going on in those personal meeting rooms as we have other meetings. But during this hours, Fridays 12 to 1 on these dates, you can just click here and drop in and get support, get your questions answered. Okay, and then this is all brought to you by California Arts Advocates, Californians for the Arts. I think all of you are kind of probably familiar with both of our sister organizations, as Nefesha already introduced. And we also want to thank Inspire Washington, the state advocacy organization for Washington State. And they shared resources on their captain's program. And we're always learning from folks in the field and our network of advocates across the country on trying to bring better programs and systems and supports to all of you. Nefesha.
Yes, thank you to the team. Excellent webinar, and thank you to everyone that joined us, and a special thank you to our sponsors. They make this happen every year. Of course, we have different sponsors every year, but then we have those that come back, and we really appreciate that. So here you see a variety of sponsors that have been supporting us and continue to support us. And if you know someone that's interested in sponsoring or supporting with scholarships, again, please reach out to us. Please you can email me directly at nefesha@caforthearts.org. We can put that in the chat also, and I would love to speak with you more. We really don't want our sponsorships to just be sponsors and a transactional exchange, but really be a partnership and working together to forward the initiatives that we have as a state with arts and culture. So please reach out. Thank you, and thank you to our sponsors.
Hey, Nefesha, while you've got the microphone, Patricia asked in the chat, can you give a 1-minute elevator pitch on the theme of this year's conference? And I'm going to give you a second to think about that, and then answer that. But it'd be great to hear that from you, since you're really kind of holding the content and the vision for us all. And then I'll if you're ready to answer that, go ahead and jump in. Otherwise, I'll move the next slide and then we'll come back to you.
Yeah, I mean, I can hop in with like a little bit of a breakdown. And Patricia, thank you for that question. Again, our theme is health, healing, and hope. And Jennifer actually mentioned that she has helped build our arts and health initiative over the past year. We had a webinar series, and it actually was birthed out of one of our board members in a meeting was like, it should be health, healing, and hope. And it just felt it connected with each of us, and it resonated in a way that has proven that it's necessary. So we are emphasizing health, healing, and hope. And we're not just creating a space to learn about how the arts are impactful with our health, healing, and provide hope, and how we use the arts to continue to inspire hope to our communities. But it's also going to be a space where people can come and receive that healing, because we're all in many ways service workers to our communities. And so we will have someone out of San Francisco doing sound wellness with sound bowls. We're working with the Alliance for California Traditional Art to create an activation where people can actually receive healing too. And this year we're at the convention center and we're at the Memorial Auditorium. We've worked in partnership with the city of Sacramento. And so I think it's going to be a really great time. We have more space this year, not just in time, but space to actually spread out and use our breakout sessions. And this year also we did a call for proposals where people from across the state were able to apply for their call for proposal to speak at the summit, to do a breakout session or a panel. And each one of those call for proposals were adapted. When they did the proposal, we asked them, how does this connect with the theme? And so it's not just looking at how the arts impact health, but how does your work status, artwork being real work, how does you either being an independent contractor or being working in a variety of positions as an artist, how does that impact your health, right? And how can we make sure that we have housing for our artists, because that impacts our health. So we're really looking at all these different areas of life that impact artists and creatives, and not just pigeonholing it to health, healing, and hope. And how does that, when it comes to like doctors or physicians, look at it, but how does the overarching community, how are we impacted by the arts, and how does our situations impact our health? So it's kind of this conversation that's happening. And that was over a minute, but just wanted to kind of expand that. So
Yeah, just to kind of build on what Nefesh was saying, I think one of the things that we've found, because this is going to be the third time we're doing this in person since COVID, what we hear from attendees is that coming to the summit is nourishing, it's validating, it makes everybody visible to each other, it builds connection, and it advances kind of sharing and deepening and distributing knowledge that you all hold, both through the panel discussions and the networking opportunities. So there's connecting, nourishing, validating, and really building inspiration and momentum is what we hear from folks in our surveys and at the event. Just the kind of experiential takeaways, I thought also are good to try to explain to people maybe who haven't gone before what goes on there. So
it's a great networking opportunity too, which is a lot of people, like I remember last year people were in the breakout sessions, and then some people just wanted to take some time and just be able to communicate, talk to other people there, sit outside. So it's a great opportunity to not only like you said, Tracy, connect with community and feel like filled up, feel nourished from a day with people that are thinking similarly, but also it's a great professional development and networking opportunity within our state.
yeah. We're going to have Jenica talk about how to stay connected, but I just wanted to show in that center photo, do you see Nefesha with that little CA t-shirt? That's going to be the t-shirt that will be for sale, but green this year, in terms of a branded kind of make each other visible to each other t-shirt. So go ahead, Jenica, take it away.
Thanks, Tracy. So let's stay connected. So like Nefesha just said, join us at the summit. I'm going to drop the ticket link again for y'all if you haven't registered yet. Subscribe to our email so you get the latest on our updates, like the potential opportunities. I know the job opportunities is a great resource that folks like, so stay tuned, get on our email list and you'll get our updates. And then of course we are so grateful for all of our member support. So if you feel inclined, become a member for Say for the Arts and our sister lobbying organization, Say Arts Advocates. We really appreciate it. All of your support means a lot to us, and you also have a say in how we build out our initiatives in the future. So definitely join the network and become a member.
Great. And then we're gonna open the stop sharing and just see if anybody has any questions. Ms. Ann Brown. Are you able to speak? I'm so sorry. I'm not webinar savvy.
I just allowed Anne.
Oh,
to
cool. Thank
speak,
you.
so-
Sorry to focus on the clothing opportunity. but, Jenny Darlington person is here with me too. And we think, it'd be great to get these shirts. Do you think that's something we'll register for and get ahead of time, or we buy them at the summit?
Likely we won't be able, I don't know who the distributor will be just yet. We're just figuring this out. Probably the logistics will look like you'll order your size, and the sizes are pretty true. Oh no, I think did they run kind of big? Do you remember? We'll have notes on that depending on if we use the same printer, t-shirt company. But likely you will pre-order, designate your size, and you'll pick up at Advocacy Day, which is kind of a bummer because I don't know. We hadn't really thought about that actually. I think shipping them out might be hard, but maybe there's some other way to solve this if anybody's got a
Maybe you
good.
could get it at the summit, but then there may be advocates that want it and they're only going to the Advocacy Day. It's just a pain for you guys to have to drag boxes of t-shirts around. I get it.
No,
But
that's better, probably less a
Well,
pain than us shipping them individually.
True. Okay. All right. Let it get. Thank you.
But we'll circle back on that because, yeah, people are gonna wanna plan their outfit.
Make it a fundraiser. Never pass up an opportunity to make some money.
Mm-hmm.
So always bump it up and we'll pay it and money goes to you all. Thank you. This has been amazing. Thank you.
Good call, good call. Thank you, Faith. All right, make sure y'all register for Advocacy Day as soon as possible so we can get you signed up and get your meetings allocated to the ones you intend to lead. It's really important. Thanks, everybody.